What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Third and Longhorn. We have a special bye week edition today. I guess we're gonna call it a bye week edition.
Yeah.
It also could be called the midseason report or the phase 1 report, depending on how you're looking at it.
I like all those.
Yeah. Just call it what you want, man. Just call it what you want. But to my left, I have Jeremy Hills, Rod Babers. I'm Nick Shuley. To my right, Fozzy Whittaker, Derrick Johnson, and Alex Okafor. And we're going to get right into it. I'm going to kick it off with Rod, the quick recap of the Mississippi State game.
I think, first of all, the biggest headline and the most popular one is Arch Manning. He was unbelievable. The exponential leap of improvement you saw from him from start 1 to start 2 just shows you he's a prodigy. Yeah. That guy was phenomenal. I think Pro Football Focus had him graded as the highest graded quarterback in the country. Yeah. In the country. Yeah. Right? That's Texas' backup. So he was phenomenal. I think for Texas overall, though,
Texas backup was the highest graded.
Texas backup was the highest graded.
Make sure I heard that.
Yeah. No doubt. It was unbelievable. Like I said, it was unbelievable. And by the way, it should have been, probably some loftier numbers. Because gaudier numbers, but we're not going to get into that because we're not hating on nobody. It's 5 weeks all good. But the team overall, I think there is a feeling that they did not play to the standard in this game. Maybe the first game all season where they didn't play to the standard completely. There were a lot of self-inflicted wounds. Mm-hmm. There were, obviously turnovers earlier in the game, and they didn't separate really from Mississippi State to the fourth quarter. But that's fine. I think it's a perfect place, guys, for a wake-up call. Yeah. First game in the SEC, I think a lot of it was SEC athletes are a little bit different. But Texas, I think ultimately they just did not play. They couldn't execute at times early on in the first quarter. And those mistakes and lapses cost them their ability to separate from Mississippi State and keep that game from being so competitive.
I would also like to mention Mississippi State had a game plan that they did not want to give Texas the football.
Yep.
They knew how dangerous Texas was on the offensive front. They kept it down on the ground game, and overall the numbers may not look like Texas dominated on the defensive front because they had over 100 yards rushing. They had these things. But, you look at average yards per carry, and it's still sitting less than 3.5 yards a pop. Yeah. They just had a lot of rushing attempts, which makes it look like that. But ultimately, Texas did what they needed to do. But whenever you don't stop them on third downs or fourth downs and you give them another drive, that's what you start see adding up with the time of possession and what a lot of people will try to use against Texas, as we saw in that first half. You go into halftime, I'm calling my game, TCU, Kansas, and I'm looking at the score, and I'm like, hold on, something ain't right. Let me refresh this because this is not loading properly. Yeah. And I go and look at time of possession, and I'm like, oh, okay, they've been playing keep away. Then I go and look at the turnovers and said, okay, you had a fumble right in the red zone, which ultimately cost points right there as well. And some people are going to look at that as a recipe to make Texas feel as though they're not as comfortable or as confident playing to the standard that we've been accustomed to seeing them play these first few weeks in the season.
I would challenge that with just one thing, because I've been having that conversation since the game, right? Mm-hmm. This is the exact same game plan that Michigan had.
Yeah, that's very true.
It is the exact same game plan.
Very true.
The difference is Texas showed up to play against Michigan. Mm-hmm. You want to kill that game plan? Put points on the board. Don't turn it over in the red zone.
Yep.
All of a sudden, it ain't no such thing as wasting time because you're down 21 early.
Yeah. You gotta go.
You gotta play football. Right. You know what I mean? So that game plan only works. You can only lull me to sleep if I allow you to.
Yep.
If I allow you to stay in the game. If I allow you to call. I can't get over this stat. Every single offensive lineman we had a pre-snap penalty.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is nuts to me.
Yeah.
Like, we are the self-inflicted wounds, right? Like, to me, that's the story of the game more than it is the 50 carries, which is wild. But like, that's wild in its own. Like, wow.
It ain't not a triple option team.
Yeah, like,
this ain't Army, Navy.
Y'all kept that ball on the ground 50 times, right? Like, that's honestly impressive. Like, good job. But like, my thing is that like that only works if I allow it to. Mm-hmm. And because I've seen that same game plan from a much better program. And when we showed up ready to play that program, hyped to play that program, focused on that game plan doesn't work with better talent. Why did that game plan work with lesser talent? Mm-hmm. You know, it's not the first time we've seen that. It probably won't be the last.
Yeah, because Oklahoma can do some of those things. Jeff Levy just left that program, so they have a veer and shoot DNA They got a quarterback that can run. They sprinkled in some quarterback run game. I wouldn't doubt if Venables was looking at that game plan right now saying, we can do that.
Yeah.
We may not be able to do a lot, but we can do that.
Yeah.
And make the game competitive into the fourth quarter. That's what we need. So
And they have a way better
like
defense.
That's that old SEC football.
Yeah.
Well, that's the exact way Oklahoma was able to beat Auburn.
And that pick six at the end. Like,
That's
great
great defense.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
fair. I'll tell you what.
controlling the ground game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with the just to add before we move on, self-inflicted wounds, that's a big deal, right? And that's all on you. That's all on us. And nobody can, make us do any of those things. Those are being able to be focused, being tuned in to the situation, and especially, man, we have a high-powered offense. If we don't do self-inflicted wounds, we can. I mean, we dropped the pass, deep ball. We fumbled a couple times with Blue. I mean, if that doesn't happen, there's more yards that Arch can have. So
what's that score at halftime?
It looks completely
if we
different.
just execute.
Yeah.
We don't do
It's at least
anything
21-3.
But I think but I'm glad it happens, and we all been through this. Even if we had nobody has a perfect season, but that season where a lot of things are going right, you do have that game where you say, man, if we don't do this, do that. But exactly what Rod said, this is a perfect time for that to happen, right? And now get the jitters out of whatnot for the next 2 weeks, and we got a big game coming up, and we'll be ready to go. Like Sark is, yeah.
Huge game coming up.
But yeah, well, now, since we have a bye week, let's kind of step back and take a second to talk about some of the other teams. So let's talk about the current standings in the SEC, and who do y'all think are for real, and who do you think are the pretenders thus far?
I think Tennessee's for real.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee's for real. I kind of like their game.
Oh yeah.
I think we're about
Bama
to
coming up too.
We're about to find out. Yeah, when they play Bama,
Mm-hmm.
like we're about to find out if they're for real.
Yeah.
Who else? Front to back though with Tennessee. Like when I say front to back, I mean that defense from
I like the way they whooped
over there smiling, and I know why.
That D line, bro.
James Pierce, who I think may be the best one of the best rushers in the country, James Pierce. It has spread to everybody else that got their hand in the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
That defense is nasty. The fake UT is out there balling. The fake UT is out there balling, bro. And then that quarterback,
Rico.
He's throwing
Nico's
darts.
a freaking beast.
He's throwing darts.
I love that everybody calls him by his first name because nobody wants to accept his last name. Everybody calls him like he's Kobe. He's like, Nico.
Yeah. Listen, what's his name, Bob?
Nico Iamaleava.
Oh, good job. Well done.
Stop playing with us.
I say us. He's a broadcaster.
RBs always stick together, baby.
I say us when you do it right.
We stick together.
Stop playing with us.
You know what I'm saying?
But no, when you look at, they got weapons on the outside. They play. Tennessee has always played hard.
Yeah,
like that's kind of that's what they do. I give it to them. I give them their card. They play hard. But I think they're ready to take that step because they've always, when you look at SEC football in recent history, it's been Bama, Georgia. Yep. And then it's been like LSU either in that top or like right below it. But then it's almost been like Tennessee can knock you off, but they're not really gonna do nothing like throughout the season. Right. They can beat anybody, but they can lose anybody.
Man, I do think it is the best team they've had in a while, but call me a little bit of a hater because I still haven't seen them play anyone for real, and I don't give them much credit for NC State, and I do give them credit for beating OU's defense. But also OU's one of the lower ranked teams in the SEC. So I want to see them against somebody. I mean, watching them against those teams, they put up good numbers and they play hard.
But I'll say this. I'll take that, Shuley. But, ball. The product that you're seeing on the field, do you think that's just a talent thing? Like, these guys have more talent than these guys? Or is that a good product on the field?
It is. It is the best product I've seen from Tennessee in years. Since
offensively, they're I mean, top in they're over 50 points a game. They're over 550 yards a game. Like it's a thing. Yeah,
it's a thing. It's a thing. I don't know who UTC is. I'm kidding. Tennessee Chattanooga. Like NC State hasn't.
Oh, no doubt. They definitely playing. They definitely playing.
Yeah, they put up those numbers on Kent.
People saying the same thing about Texas.
But it's a little bit.
We at least
they play Michigan, but people say Michigan's down. They're like Oklahoma's down.
Top 10.
That sounds like a rec league, what you just named. You know what I mean? But they're beating that rec league the way they should.
But that's what I'm excited to see the Alabama game because I think we're going to get that barometer of where they're at. And I do think it's going to be a fantastic game. I'm not saying Tennessee's not good. I just want to see them play someone.
Yeah.
So
That's
They're
fair.
Rocky Top too.
That's fair. And then, I mean, obviously, let's not pretend Georgia can still play football.
100%.
Absolutely.
They
reminded us in that second half.
Yeah.
Name me another team that goes into that rough environment. Goes down, what was it, 4 scores?
Yeah, 28.
Yeah.
takes an
you
entire
don't
half
come
off.
out of that.
They,
4 turnovers and you take the lead in the fourth quarter.
That's
like,
crazy.
listen, 4 turnovers and gave them almost 30-point spot. And then at one point in this game, you're up.
Who do you feel better
And
about
not
coming
up.
out of that game?
And I'm gonna give you. And let's stay with Georgia for a second because if y'all
Hands
watched
down.
that game, it wasn't like, oh man, this lucky Hail Mary pass fumbled into the man. Them boys fought and fought and fought and
Scratched
fought
and clawed for
scratched
everything.
and clawed, and then was up 34-33. Now that didn't last for long. That didn't last for long at all.
The 17-year-old kid that we
Yeah,
heard
Ryan Williams.
about 17
man.
different times on the
He's
broadcast.
incredible.
Good.
bro.
I'm not gonna lie.
Unbelievable.
I think about what I was doing at 17, and I'm like, yeah, man.
Think about it. Those
Ain't no
dudes
way.
could have had Bond and
That's
him on
the
the field at the
crazy
same
thing.
time. That's scary.
No, they couldn't. No, they couldn't. 'Cause you forgot about that school in Austin.
So could have Texas because Ryan Williams was looking at Texas too.
Right, that is true.
But, what were you saying before?
No, I was just saying that last catch was crazy, man. The body control for it to be in the fourth quarter and still have that type of juice left. Like, come on,
Man, he got that
like,
young man energy. You know, at 17, man, you go run a track meet, you go hoop after the track meet, stay up, play video games all night. 17, you can do whatever you want.
That's what it felt like.
Like the
I'm
moves
really
he put on after, like that. He's
Man,
something
he's
special.
spinning out of stuff. His,
Right.
like you got to think about it. He goes up, he catches it, stutter steps, spins out of one, stutter steps again, then put the jets on,
And then
and
get
is
up
taking
out of
his
there.
mouthpiece out before he gets to the end zone so that he can start his
Oh.
celebration.
right.
He wasn't even tied.
I'm like, yo.
What does he have?
And he's been
to
there-
kill everyone or
Yeah.
something like that on his.
Yeah.
And he's been their leading receiver.
I'm not
every
gonna lie
single
though.
week.
I
Like,
did see. I seen him kill everyone. I said, "See, that's that XXX Intension. That's the influence right there."
I think it's
they
from
had-
the program, ain't it?
Oh, was it?
I think it
Is
is.
it from the book?
Oh,
What that boy know about the program?
I want to say
Hey,
it
he knows
is.
his
Isn't
stuff.
that what Mal? And like, didn't he say that? in
He
there?
was
Like,
out there
kill-
doing the dirty bird though.
Yeah,
So
he
like
said-
he got.
He
He's
appreciates
an
the
old
old
soul.
school.
That's what I'm
Is he
saying,
from
like-
Atlanta?
old school.
Is he from
No, he's
Atlanta?
Alabama.
He's from Alabama.
He appreciates
What
the
is
old
the
school,
dirty?
man.
Oh,
Sarah
Georgia.
Land, right?
Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah,
that's
because
the
Georgia.
diss. I tell you what, man, the subliminals. I missed it. I missed it. I missed it.
we were
No.
caught up in the moment. That's all it was.
But I think Bama's for real as well. I
Kalen
think
DeBoer,
I think Bama's for real as well.
Kalen DeBoer. That
yeah.
dude might be. I'm telling you, he's gonna have an argument for being the best coach in college football.
I
He
mean,
just
his
beat
record-
maybe the best coach in college football.
How do you argue with his record?
Yeah.
I mean, like it's insanity.
Yeah. No, I look at so you got Bama, you got Tennessee, you got Georgia for sure, and we gonna get to Texas, right? But I'm looking around the scope of this thing, and I'm like, I'm not sold on LSU.
No.
I'm not really sold on LSU.
Kentucky
thought
may be a
they'd
nice
be
trap
better.
game.
Kentucky can pop you.
Yeah, they can. that's a
Kentucky can
trap
pop
game.
you. But I've also seen what it looked like when a team just brought it to Kentucky from start to finish, and that team was South Carolina.
Yeah, they can handle
And I don't know if
it.
y'all
That's
watched
who
that one.
I like.
South Carolina is a physical,
That's who I
big
like.
football team. They
And
are physical.
They don't play no game.
Yeah, they are just physical. It's going to be 4 quarters of who likes to hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I see when I think of like that the top scope, and then obviously the best team in the country that for whatever reason they rated number 2 right now.
Coaches poll kept them at 1 though.
Coaches know
what's
what's going on, right? The AP poll got caught up in the best game of the year.
Yeah.
They only watched half that game.
Yeah, but Texas, I still think, even with all of that said, I still think Texas is the most complete team, like front to back.
Yeah.
I think it's the most complete team.
They don't have a real weakness.
No,
Not a glaring.
Just
one.
Not a
themselves.
glaring
Like
one.
that.
Pretty
That's
much.
been the only
Yeah, get
only
out your
weakness
own way.
we've shown. Yeah. It's for real.
That's what when I look at it, I'm like, all right, like, yeah, Texas, y'all should. You should be able to. There's no reason why you shouldn't be in this thing at the end.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think going down the stretch for Texas, we're going to be playing better talent. So when it comes to getting more more energy when it comes to the back end. We're going to get more long balls.
Yeah.
Things are going to happen down the field. OU, Georgia, they're in third long. They're not handing the ball.
State got behind
Ball's
you a
not
couple
coming
times.
out.
State got behind you.
Yeah.
Behind you a couple times.
Yeah, so you're going to see more sacks come around, Trey Moore and these guys. But if Sark can just keep being strategic with running the ball, and of course we can't do zone, inside zone all the time. We got to be strategic with it, misdirection stuff, just to get them a little, because we don't have that bruiser back there, and we have some guys some slashers that can be really explosive. But I think Sark's going to be able to just create more opportunities for the run game. Just so, because we know what we got in our pass game, but you still have to stay with the run. So hopefully he can be creative with that going down the stretch.
One thing that I think is super important that I think it kind of got overlooked, or we didn't realize how special it was, is Quinn's eye control and the way that it's experience, of course, but like. The run is mirrored with the pass.
Yeah.
And he's so dangerous off of that read.
Yeah.
And
It looks the same.
That RPO
It looks the
looks
same.
so great. And
It
then
looks
the
the
way
same.
that he gets defenders out of place, but just his eyes, because I know where my guy is going to be. And the ball is coming out quick, decisive, and on point. Arch is a generational talent.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be compared. But for right now, the guy to keep us on track and move us down the field to put points at the end of this drive, I love our QB1.
Yeah,
I love QB1. So I'm ready to see we still haven't seen our full throttle offense against high level competition.
Well, hold that thought, because we're about to preview the offense when we come back after our first commercial break. Welcome back to Third and Longhorn. You are watching our mid-season report, Phase 1 report, whatever you want to call it. And we're about to get into the offense. Hill's already kind of teased it a little bit, talking about Quinn. But let's start on the offense. Let's start with the quarterbacks. Obviously, we have two pretty strong quarterbacks, considering they're both in the top 15 in the Heisman rankings, etc., which is insanity. But I want to start with you, Oak. I'm gonna kick it off to you. So, what is your overall grade for the quarterback room this year so far?
A++. I mean, how can you go lower than that? Quinn, and going back to Jay Hill's point, I think over these past 2 to 3 weeks, we see that Quinn gives us the best chance to win. Arch has almost played flawlessly, but still, Quinn is just a little bit more effective in the ways that Jay Hill's described. Also, I feel like he's a little bit more effective in the middle of the field. But it's been fun to watch Arch, though, because he's getting guys activated that we don't normally see get activated. So I mentioned it in the post-game show last time. He's getting his classmates going. So you see more targets to Jonte Cook. You see more targets to DeAndre Moore. You see how he arrived last week, having an outstanding game. And it was funny. At the end of the second quarter last week, it was an empty, 0 blitz, and we was an empty. We had Isaiah Bond run a seam. He was open. We had DeAndre Moore run a seam. Both of them was open. Arch went to Moore. I don't know if that would have happened if that was Quinn. It's been fun to watch, I say that. So
there's a little bias in there. There's a little bias.
It's a tad bit, but I like that, though. Yeah. But no, you got to give our quarterbacks A++. Best quarterback room in the country. Absolutely. You feel good moving forward with either of these guys under center.
For sure.
Yeah.
DJ, what are your thoughts?
A- just because our standard is super high, and there's a couple plays in there where you say, man, we got to have that back. Can't make that mistake. Can't throw that interception. Got to get the ball out. But just like Oak saying, A+, A-. It's an A. We good. We good when it comes to quarterback.
Yeah, same way, A-. The turnovers is something that you want to eliminate. And some turnovers. It's not just a turnover. Some turnovers is like that. Right. You can't do that. Right.
That's
right. So and that's where I can't have a perfect grade, only because the play isn't perfect. I mean, nobody's gonna play perfect. But Arch played pretty dang near close to perfect just this past Saturday. But the turnovers, being able to eliminate that. ULM, Arch threw a couple picks. Obviously, Quinn has thrown a couple of picks throughout the course of the season. That's been the biggest kind of, I can see why you made it, but we got to make better decisions, because whenever we're playing against an opponent like a Georgia or Oklahoma, who has one of the stingiest defenses, or Kentucky coming down the line, or you go on the road and you playing at Arkansas, playing in Kyle Field, those interceptions turn into momentum swings, and that can be a drastic shift to the outcome of the game. So that's why I give it an A-, but they're still executing at an extremely high level.
Rod, what do you got?
I'll go A+. I've been satisfied with the quarterbacks.
It's tough over here.
Yeah, they're tough graders, man. I'll go A+ because they, have their backup, be graded as the highest graded quarterback in the country in his second start of his career. Says a lot about how deep that running back room is. So
if I look at A+ as perfection, right? It can't get higher than this. Then I would say I got to give us an A. That for that reason, is there any room for improvement? The answer is yes. Then I'm like, all right, then this ain't perfect.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So then for that reason alone, I say an A. I want to say A+. I mean, I look at QB1. He goes into the Big House, one of the toughest places in the country to play, and then defeats the defending national champions. And I mean, tell me we couldn't have scored 3 more times if we wanted to, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, from the first drive,
Yeah.
went down there and made it known what was what through no lookers. Like went down there and made it known what was what, right? And then I would say, okay, well, what about the backup? What about the Manning? What did he do? In the first SEC conference game ever, he goes and then gets PFF's highest grade at his position in the country. Yeah, this is a strong argument, But at the same time, I think about what Fozzy and DJ said, right? And I got what you were saying, DJ. It's not just some turnovers are different than others.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there are some turnovers where we we got it. I wish we could have that back. Yeah. And there are other turnovers that in different games that can probably get you beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For
so
sure.
when I just look at there is room for improvement, then I gotta say A. I'm thoroughly impressed with what we put out on the field at that position.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that brings us this one. This one's going to be interesting. All right, and we'll start with you and running back this way. So, running back. That was a nice, solid segue. Accidental segue there.
All right, Lil Wayne.
What is your overall grade so far for the running back group?
Wow,
that's tough, man. Before last week, I would have told you we were in that A range, right? I would say every week we've been complimentary. We've been playmakers. We've kept our quarterbacks clean in pass pro. Yep. We bailed them out when they needed somewhere to go with the ball. We've been effective anytime we've been called on, and then we go out and put some balls on the ground. You know what I mean? I can't give us an A+ because our own running backs coach didn't give us that when he yanked somebody and put them on the bench for the whole half. That's just the truth, right? So when I look at it, I say right now that group is at a high B. If it's a graded paper, they're gonna get you that at 88. It's an 88, and they gonna circle it. You know what I mean? You're doing a lot of good things, and I see the potential.
Yeah,
there's just certain stuff that we have to do in order to be great.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's how I would grade that group.
Where you at, Ron?
Yeah, I'm gonna go B- with that group. First of all, it's not their fault that they're injury riddled, hit with the injury bug, but unfortunately, football, the number one ability is availability.
Yep.
They just don't have the depth right now. Jaden Blue just getting benched in that game, that was big. I think he's going to come back with a vengeance in the Texas-Oklahoma game.
100%.
But it is what it is. That was a disappointing performance, man. Guys like that aren't supposed to get benched, right? You're supposed to have a baseline of consistency, and you don't really have that at running back. I don't know if anybody has a baseline of consistency. So I'll go with a B- with that group, unfortunately.
I want to chime in real quick and say you're right. You're not ever supposed to get benched at any position, right? In that running back position, because I think what it means to an offense, it means a little bit more when you get benched. Mm-hmm. I once seen Jay Charles get benched.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen
that's true.
I seen Jay Charles get benched for the exact same thing. I seen Mac Brown put Vontrell McGee in on the goal line.
Yeah. I've seen good quarterbacks get benched too. It's more of like a psychological thing when it comes to
it's a reset.
taking care of the ball.
I don't know if that's a good word though, because it's bench is different.
Yeah.
Right?
Not coming back.
So taking out the game.
Yeah, taking out the game. Because I've seen Cedric Benson get benched.
Yeah.
I've seen Sullivan Young come in for him.
I'm looking at that and I'm saying, if you want to get a back to focus, to slow down and take seriously what you're saying, come stand by me.
Come stand by me. There you
take
go.
some mental reps.
Took him out.
Come take a couple
Took him out.
mental
I would
reps.
say he took him out.
Right?
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
I
get it.
I'm not disagreeing at all with what you said. I'm just excited to see what this kid does the next time he's on the field.
I laugh at everyone in their online hate right now. I'm like, dude, you guys don't get it. This kid's coming back hard.
Yeah.
Jade's gonna be ready. What are your thoughts, Fozzy? What's your grade?
I'm right there with Rod. I got B-. Part of the issue, obviously, the turnovers you can't have, especially in this previous game. But the other aspect, whenever I talked with Sark a couple weeks ago, he mentioned how he's needing a running back to step up and hit the home run, hit those big plays, and that's where Texas is lacking from an offensive production standpoint. We can throw it across the yard. Quinn, Arch, they can get it to freaking 8 different receivers 50 yards down the field, but that running back has not put up those gaudy 50-plus yard gains, 40-plus, 30-plus. Like, we haven't seen that, especially at a high level on a consistent basis. So that's where my B- comes in. I want to see somebody take over, preferably from what we've seen. Jaden Blue probably is the most dynamic and electric player to be able to do that. Just hadn't showcased it consistently quite yet. So I'm going to say it a B- just because I haven't seen that level of production from the room at this time.
That's a good take. I would say B- as well. But in their defense, we're not a running team. We're not a running team, so that's never. I don't know if we're going to hang our hat on it where they're going to get plenty of opportunities, but they need to seize those opportunities, especially. This past game, putting the ball on the ground, just can't have it, right? Defensively, you take the ball away. Offensively, you hold on to it regardless if you punt it or not. And that kind of derails teams, or especially when you play against a really, really good team, that really hurts you. And now you're pointing at this play and that play. But I say B. I say B-. But Blue's my guy. Blue's our guy. We know what Blue can do, and we're going to need him down the stretch.
What do you got?
I'm the same. I'm going to round it out at a B-. Got to take into account the injuries, so what they're overcoming. All of them have had explosive games. After the game 2 weekends ago, what is it, ULM?
Yeah.
That's the game where Blue had 4 touchdowns. That's
ULM.
Yeah.
Correct.
They was at a B+ after that game. So, I mean, the type of game the running back room had last week almost knocked them down a letter grade. So that's how serious that's how poorly they play, put it like that. And that's what can hold a team back like us. I think Fozzy hit it right on the head. I think what we're missing offensively is just explosive plays in the ground game. I keep having a thirst for those explosive plays that JB had on the ground last year, and I'm just not getting them yet. And I feel like we have the talent in the room still. So it's making me want to see that, but we'll see. We got to continue to come along.
I think you hit it right. The talent is there.
Yeah.
The talent, the ability is there. We just had, I think the longest run, and this is just off memory, I may be corrected, but the longest run I can remember was at Michigan.
Well, by a running back?
It might be Isaiah Bond.
Technically,
No. I mean,
technically,
by running back.
Colin Page.
They got some
actually-
movement. They're just by wide receivers and
This year,
Arch.
Colin
serious?
Page actually had
wow.
the longest
But no,
run.
I'm thinking like
Against ULM late in the game.
Wow.
from a running back, like
Wow.
in game time, I'm thinking that Jaden Blue one where he made the cornerback touch earth. And and then he dove and caught a ghost. Like like that run. Brooks, the JB was just his patience and balance are what makes him special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He broke tackles.
I think
business, bro.
I think Jaden Blue is an athlete, like a true athlete, and as he's at this running back position, as that patience, I don't think it's as natural to him as it is JB. If I'm just looking at two different backs, just the ability to press the hole. Some guys just Mark Ingram was the best at it for the longest. Like these guys just press the inside zone, they press the hole, and gradually just move themselves through the defense. That's what JB did. I think as Jordan Blue starts to get more reps, and as it's starting to get serious for him, which I'm hoping it is now, I think we'll start to see those big plays that we're talking about. Some guys just got to work for it a little bit. It feels like at least some guys got to work for it a little bit harder than others.
He will. He's a little more of an athlete than JB.
Yeah, he's a pure athlete.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But Trey, we don't want to overshadow what Trey did last year. I think Trey Graham.
He had a great game.
Yeah.
He did really good.
What did he finish with 80-something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he compliments Blue so well.
I haven't seen that from him, running that hard. So that was
He just hit it.
Yeah.
He hits it.
I mean, it is a talented room, but they're getting a lot out of that room for where we're at right now.
Last thing I'll say for my piece is I do feel like we don't want to see Blue on the bench. Like nobody. Like the offense is at its best to me when we're featuring Jaden Blue as our back.
I agree. Well, we'll start back with you. We honestly, this is a waste of time. I don't even know why we're talking about this, but we'll go ahead.
Just give them.
Should we
just
skip wide receivers and just? I mean, honestly,
best room in the country.
Does anybody have
best room in the
even
country?
A minus or
A plus?
I would want to know where the minus comes
I
from.
was saying, does anybody even have one? I have an A plus.
No. He's saying, does anybody have
Oh,
one?
yeah, I don't know how you would even.
No. It's A plus.
Anyway, all right.
That group did drop a deep ball this past.
To be fair,
A plus.
I'm with that.
All right. Well, then we'll start with you with tight ends.
Tight ends. I mean, I gotta go A minus. It would have been an A plus if it wasn't for those penalties that Gunnar had last week. But I mean, I'm shocked. And when I say shocked in a good way. I knew the type of player that Gunnar was, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't know if I take another tight end in the country over Gunnar right now. He's showing the pass catching ability.
People were penciling Nyblack over Gunnar to start this year, and it did not happen.
Right, he's showing the soft hands. He's showing the athletic ability, the ability to get yards after the catch. He's impressed me. So I'd have to say an A minus just due to those penalties.
Yeah, I would say A plus. Honestly, this. If you asked me before the season, I wouldn't have said anything about Gunnar Ham being that catching, passing receiver. I just wouldn't, just because he did a lot of blocking last year, did a really good job. This year, he does both. So Gunnar gets an A plus from me.
Yeah, give me an A minus only because I want to see more depth behind Gunnar. Gunner's performed well beyond a lot of people thought, but. Give me some more depth with Juan Davis, Amari Nyblack.
Can do in the open field.
Yeah, he's starting to get some catches.
They like Juan. Yeah. I'll go with just an A straight up with the group. I mean, I think Gunnar Helm has exceeded expectations from all of us, no doubt about it. Yeah. So I didn't have him that effective. He showed me yak ability, athleticism, leaping over guys. Yeah, Gunnar Helm looks legit, and Juan Davis is a nice surprise. He's one of those guys that's earned his way on the field. Want more from Amari Nyblack, but I mean that would be a luxury of
absolutely
riches there.
Yeah, I feel like I'm cheating off his homework. I feel I'm not new to that.
Yeah,
but no, I think Raw hit it on.
Well, before we go to commercial, I want to wrap the offense so we can come back with defense. So let's finish out with offensive line. We'll start with you, Hills. What's your grade on the O line? This is a tough one.
This is a tough one, right? Because I have a very high expectation.
Because they played very well, but they also
I have a very, very, very high expectation for them. Prior to this past week, I would have given them an A plus. I'm gonna go A minus just because they are some of the glue of that offense, and we just can't afford to have what we had from a focus standpoint. We can't afford that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go B plus with the O line. Yeah, because the run game, you need more push in the run game with the lack of depth and overall talent there. And I haven't seen them impose their will just yet in the run game. I like some of the things they're doing in the pass blocking, but I want to see them be dominant in the run game.
Yeah,
so I'll go B plus.
I'll go A minus, like a 91.
Okay,
it's like right there. Same way, I want to see them mash in the run game. At the same time, the penalties, you can't have it. So
can't have it.
That's why they're not as high as I would have originally evaluated them at.
That's what I would go with A minus. The penalties can't have it. Self-inflicting wounds. They do take care of their quarterbacks really well. They haven't been harassed at all. Can get more push when it comes to the run game, but I like our O-line.
Yeah, no, I love our O-line. I gotta go B plus as well. Can't give them an A just because of penalties, and then it's not just the penalties last week; it's the penalties the whole season.
Yeah.
So they got to clean that up. That's the only thing not getting fixed offensively. So
All right. Well, that wraps up the offense. When we come back, we will preview the defense as well as I know the thing everyone's waiting for, the special teams, and especially the Bert Auburn recap.
Bert Auburn
show. Come back with that. Welcome back to Third and Longhorn, where we are doing our mid-season report. We're giving out grades, and we are just about to get to the defense since we just wrapped the offense. Let's start with you, Hills. Let's start with the defensive backs. What is your overall grade for this group?
All right, now look, this is one of those things where I'm like, am I grading this group with the same lens that I grade other groups?
Other groups, right.
You know what I'm saying? If I'm comparing this group to themselves, then I'm like, I'm that teacher that's coming up to that kid that ain't been making good grades, and I'm like, hey, keep it up. You're doing a great job. You are doing a great job.
That wasn't even.
You are doing an amazing job.
No.
No. Wait, time out.
Where did that come from?
Time out.
Let's practice it in his mirror.
Let's be real. Prior to this season,
I agree. Last year,
the last time I seen these gentlemen step on the field, I thought Michael Penix was like a mix of Michael Vick and Tom Brady. I was like, this is the greatest quarterback I ever seen. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get it.
That was the product that was on the field, and I love it. Man, I love these youngsters. Just ate lunch. I love these guys, but I'm just talking about the product on the field.
That's why you was late.
Hey, he was only 12 minutes late.
It didn't mind their business. Listen. What I'm saying is the improvement from January 2024 to the fall of 2024 is monumental.
Crazy.
The improvement is monumental, but we ever heard that phrase, miles to go before we sleep and miles to go before we sleep? Like, we got a ways to go still. We just have a ways to go still. So with that in mind, I'm like, I'm going to give this group a solid B. I'm going to give this group a solid B. No, because, no. What's on the field has been great. What's coming down the pipeline?
I'm
we
with
need
you on
more.
that. I mean, I'm with you.
I agree. And we're about to see a lot. We're about to see a lot.
You got a grade me teacher.
We're not
great.
That's what I'm going with.
But I guess I'm saying,
grade me
all right.
Season finale. You grade me of what body of work I'm showing.
Let me answer the question.
Minority
Reclaiming
Report.
my
Answer the questions on
time.
the test
Reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time.
Already 2.5 minutes in.
Listen. But all right, answering the question then, Shuley. So far this year, it's been a solid A. Now listen,
We just worked our grade up.
Office hours, man.
I'm saying if what we've seen is what rolls out for what's to come, we in trouble. I believe that. I believe that. We've been fortunate at different times. We played great. We played solid. We've also been pretty fortunate at different times. We got to keep getting better there.
We have not been tested. That is true.
I agree with that
James
part
is
of
saying
it,
we
yeah.
haven't been tested, and he's right. And unfortunately, you're only gonna get tested like once or twice this year because there's not a lot of elite quarterbacks and prolific offenses you face.
We got two of them coming back to back.
We got
really.
We got
Oklahoma's offense.
one.
That's fair.
We got beat 3 times by Mississippi State, but they could not catch it.
Exactly.
Like,
So
we got let off the hook.
I feel what you're saying. I
get it too.
I get exactly what they have not been tested.
Thank you.
And when they are tested, we don't know if they're gonna pass the test because last year they didn't. In the spring game they didn't.
Thank you.
But right now, this group looks really good. So
when Rod said it's okay.
No.
He ain't gave a letter grade yet. He ain't gave a letter grade yet.
Yeah, my letter
It's
grade.
cool when he do it. Okay.
I'm gonna go A- because I'm a little harsher.
Okay.
Because I am a DB, but I think Malik Muhammad's been great. I mean, guys making plays on the football. He's playing like a shutdown corner. Jadae Barron was the highest graded SEC cornerback going into the game. He's making a lot of money for himself. Taff is making a lot of money for himself. Jalen Gilbo is playing really good. He made the SEC Pro Football Focus Team of the Week. I'll go A- with the group right now, but I agree with him. He's right. They have not been tested.
So then I got an additional question that's not necessarily on here. All right.
What we got?
So based off of what you've seen and knowing what is coming to get where you want to be, on a letter scale of D to A, how confident are you today?
Because they're not doing it alone. I am. They got edge rushers. And they ain't like him.
Colin Simmons.
I was gonna say
they got some dogs.
we
You know what I mean? We ain't got Derrick Johnson, but they got Anthony Hill. They got some dogs out there, so they won't be doing it alone.
That's a good point.
And Johnny Nance has done a great job of incorporating some creative concepts.
Yeah.
So that's why I got low faith. But man, against Ryan Williams, I don't know. You got to go with God and pray on that if we end up playing. That's something else.
I'm at an A. I'm gonna start off right there. I get what you all are saying. They haven't been tested, but teams have also tried to throw, and it hasn't been successful.
No.
So the test versus the actual product on the field, giving up 121 yards passing per game, I think that speaks a lot in and of itself what the product is from what we've seen so far. And I do think if there is a Ryan Williams or a Jeremiah Smith, like this team will be up for the task. And I understand against Washington, that wasn't necessarily the case. but it's also some different dudes, and the defense and the back half looks completely different.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big attribution goes to Makuba,
Yeah.
who we talked about last week as one of the best additions being there. Also Taft having the recognition and just the experience to be back there. And the biggest move of all is Jade sliding out to the corner position and Jalen Gilbo being inserted in at the nickel. This is a completely different defense than what we saw last year. So I do think they're better, and the numbers say that. And they're proving their point, in my opinion. So I got them at an A because they are balling out at this moment.
But Foz, just stop for a second, right? Just stop for 1 second. Just think it through. ULM came into the game with 19 completions on the season.
Now, ULM was not the standard of
Michigan
throwing the football.
and Michigan ain't either.
Yeah.
And the guys we played last week ran the ball 50 times for a reason.
Colorado State.
I agree. We also can't spend all day on the defensive backs.
I'm going to give you Colorado State. And then I'm going to say, bro, we got to get tested. Because these other three,
I get it, but I still can't grade them off of
only
future predictions.
You can only answer the questions
The
you're
same
given
way
on
we
the
just
test.
said Quinn and Arch have perfect grades, that's because they performed perfectly up to this point. Whenever they play against Georgia, they're not going to look like they just played against Mississippi State.
Maybe.
All right, DJ, what do you have for defensive back? Let's keep going.
Well, this is an ultimate team game. So at times where you talk about the DBs or that room, you got to add that perfect marriage with the rush in there. So they're gonna have some help in the back end.
Yeah.
They've been doing great so far. Been doing great. I think everybody's been playing better. The players been playing better with moving Barron to the outside, giving Gilboa opportunity to mix up in there. The safety's been going great, especially with Makuba. But the coaching staff, the scheme, everything is just better this year. So you'll see down the stretch as we get to play better talent that this DB group. Not saying we're the best in the country. I'm just saying we're going to be solid.
What's your grade?
A minus.
All right. What do you have, Oak?
Yeah, I got to give him an A minus just because we grading them, like Fozzy said, off of what we've seen so far.
That's
like,
fair.
I know what we got moving forward. I know what we've seen already, and what we've seen is going to be nothing like what we're going to see. So I understand that aspect, but there hasn't been anything on film that should warrant a grade less than an A minus.
Okay.
And the reason why it's an A minus for
think
me
that's fair.
instead of an A or A plus is just missed tackles from last week and we got beat a couple times.
That's good. You're right about that.
That's fair.
All
That's
right.
fair. I'll take that.
Let's go to the linebackers. Let's start with you. Yeah,
Yep.
running back.
Man, I mean, you can't give none of these position groups under an A defensively. Linebacker earlier in the season, I might have said A minus. Now I'm saying an A to an A plus. I'm saying, well, just because Anthony Hill has looked like the best linebacker the past 2 to 3 weeks, man. We've seen the type of plays that his backup, Leonga Lafau, can make. We're looking at David Benda, who started the season out on fire at the beginning. All these guys, they're making plays and they're asserting their dominance on this defense. So I got to give them an A. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna stick with it.
Yeah, I give him an A plus. This linebacking crew, and I'm a hard critic when it comes to linebacker. Watching these guys run around, being able to play in space, I think it's the hardest thing for linebackers to do now. Back in the day, you play in a box and you play in op formation. Now they're spreading them out, making it harder for them. Anthony Hill, big, strong, fast, smart player, best in the country, and he's been playing like that the last couple of weeks. And David Benda probably pushing him a little bit, saying, "Hey, I'm an older cat, but I'm pretty good too." And both of them are having a party at the ball and just doing remarkable. Even the backups with Leonga.
I got A minus for me. I do think there's room for improvement across the board, and I was teetering B plus. Honestly, it's like a 90. Like if we go in there, I just think gap integrity for the linebackers has to be more consistent. And since you're playing so many players, we know it's a too deep roster that they like to rotate in between. Then the consistency and continuity between the first group and the second group, I think there needs to be a little bit more synchronization with what's happening.
I like that. I get that. I get that.
Rod.
Every now and again, Fozzy start talking. I'm like, he did graduate from UT.
That man knows what he's talking about.
He does do this for a living.
Yeah, I'll agree with Fozzy on that one. I think he hit the nail on the head there. I think it's an A- for this group, but they'll be tested too in the run game a lot in the SEC. Yeah, sure. So I think they've been playing well so far though, and I like the depth. They've actually created some depth this season.
Yes,
I agree. I mean, for all the smart reasons that Fozzy said.
I agree with that, dude.
Copying homework.
Yeah, right. Got me this far. I look at that group and I'm impressed, man. Because we don't just have guys that like make plays. We got playmakers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Time.
Like these guys aren't on. These plays ain't being made on accident. This isn't by. Sometimes it's like the defensive line did something and then the linebacker there to clean it up and then the ball pops out. And no, these guys are forcing the plays.
Yeah.
So like for that reason, I'm gonna give them a solid A. For the reason that you're talking about though, Fozzy, I have recognized that, and I think that's kind of what's leading to some of those 8-yard runs, 7-yard runs where you're like, bro, what? And you look back, and you're like, oh, we missed our gap. Like so we can clean it up a little bit there. And I think we will. We'll find out in another week, right? Yep. But for that reason, I'll give him a solid A.
Yep. All right. Well, I was gonna separate defensive tackles and defensive ends, but just for the sake of time, we're just gonna put it as D line. So you can start it off, Hills.
A plus. A plus.
Wow.
A plus. We are creating more havoc and more pressure than we have in most recent years, consistently, game in, game out, no matter who's lining up. And I'm loving seeing it. It is hard to play offense against our defense because of the D-line. They are active. And the craziest part is the guys that I think may be the most active are the young ones. But that ain't a shot at the older guys because they some dogs too. It's like just that guy is that good. You know what I mean? This is like Colin hasn't even been starting. In how many 4 sacks on the season?
4 sacks. Yeah, he's your sack leader.
Yeah. What?
Not even started.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it was once where I just knew he was offsides. I just knew he got to the quarterback almost at the same time as the ball. I'm like, oh my! Like this group is the name of the game is havoc and chaos and turnovers, right? And putting the offense in unfavorable situations. And I can say they've done that every single week. One of the plays that stand out to me the most, because we're putting it as a whole D-line, right, is start of the second half of this most recent game, we put one on the ball, all right? We put one on the ground. It's a one-score game at this time. So one-score game at this time. They get the ball in plus territory, and all of a sudden it's Texas ball again. How'd that happen?
Rotten.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's already been brought.
It's already been brought. And that kid, and the thing is, and speaking of him specifically, one of the biggest question marks that was on this defense was what's going to happen after T. Sweat's gone? What's going to happen after Big Byron's gone? He's answering that. Yeah. He's answering that. So I'm like, listen, if we can get what we've gotten from that group, I don't care who we play, it's going to be an issue. And honestly, now that I'm thinking about that, I think it goes back to what you guys were talking about the D-line being mirrored with the DBs. They're going to be beneficiaries of this group continuously getting better. And then you talk about mirroring that second team with the first team. Show me where the drop-off is.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that group to me
there is none.
A plus.
There's none.
Yeah.
Well, we got to blaze through this. Rod, what do you have?
It's deep. I'll go A- with that group. They're fantastic on the edges, and some of the guys haven't even really had their breakout games. Like Trey Moore, like some of the other guys in the defensive line in the interior. So I think the best days are yet to come for that defensive line. So I'll go A-.
Yep, I had A- as well. I thought they played very well, deep depth, making their impact presence felt. Still room to grow and really be a factor for this team.
Yeah, A-. The best games have yet to come. When they get down to SEC play, you're going to see more sacks come off the board. They're going to just be more disruptive, from the inside and outside. We got depth all across. Probably the most complete group on defense for sure.
Yeah, I got to go A- as well, just like everybody else said. Real quick, I just want to look at kind of what Jay Hills pointed on. Last year we had star power on the D-line inside. This year it's just like a myriad of different skill sets. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at the way our sacks came last game, each one came in a different way. Colin Simmons sideswiped. His second one came on a ghost rush. Vernon Broughton beat the slide. Who else are we? Trey Moore got a flag on the inside counter. Yeah, Barron Sorrell, stab, lift. So like all of these different rushes, like offensive linemen.
Vosic's starting to get.
Vosic's starting to get after too. Yeah, he just pure athleticism just coming off the edge with reckless abandon. But you look at all these different rushes, all these different skill sets. This is what opposing offensive lines are going to have to deal with, and I'm excited about that moving forward.
Man, that glossary of techniques and moves he just laid out there.
He just laid them all out.
He must have played.
What position did you play?
That was amazing.
You can only remember all that if you were mayor.
Well, we didn't get to special teams. I know everyone was excited about that, but I will say honestly, I think we've got to give an incomplete here, and I think it's because the offense has been so strong and et cetera, and we haven't seen much from Bert Auburn. He's only had 3 kicks all year, but he has made all his extra points. I'll give him credit. Will Stone's been great on kickoffs. Michael Kern's done what he needed to when he was in there, but it's been such limited duty, which shows how strong this team is. That you're not utilizing your special teams that much. And I will say I think we're about to see a breakout from Bolden or Golden in one of these returns, but we'll see. So we'll grade that one as incomplete right now. We won't knock it, but that kind of wraps up the show, guys. We'll be back next week with the Oklahoma preview. So Red River rivalry, the hardest phrase to say in the world. And then for those of you that haven't got your T-shirts yet, we're like shutting down this website apparently. It's been good. So we appreciate y'all. We are going to close the sales though pretty soon. So this one's going to be a limited edition shirt. So get your orders in. Probably by the time you hear this, it's going to be close. So go on there, get your T-shirts. And then also you can find, we'll roll out some, we'll be starting to film some interviews for the Longhorn Network, some one-on-ones with the players, etc. So those should be coming soon too. So lots to look forward to. If you like what you're hearing, please like, subscribe, follow us, post about us, tell your friends. We appreciate y'all. Thanks so much, everybody. Hook 'em.
Hook 'em.